Now at noon, a Clackamas County Sheriff's deputy is behind bars after allegedly strangling someone while off duty. What we know right now. And after months of negotiations, Portland City Council approves an $8.5 billion budget. We take a look at what didn't make the cut. Plus, local law enforcement officers involved, law enforcement officers involved in the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol are suing to stop President Trump's anti-weaponization fund. Why they fear it could pay individuals who took part in that violent attack. But we start at noon with breaking news. Longview police have arrested the superintendent of Longview Public Schools. She's accused of obstructing a sexual assault investigation involving players on the Mark Morris High School boys basketball team. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I'm Tim Gordon. We want to warn you, some of the details may be difficult to hear, but according to Longview Police, Karen Cloninger is now facing multiple charges, including tampering, failure to report, and obstructing a law enforcement officer. An executive director of student services for Longview Public Schools, Andrew Schoonover, is also facing 2 misdemeanors. The investigation involves the high school boys basketball team. 2 14-year-old students told police that they were sexually abused multiple times by other students. Investigators say high school staff and district leaders were made aware of the allegations for 2 weeks before a parent contacted police. Cloninger is accused of telling staff members to handle the case internally and discourage further discussion about what happened. Police have already arrested and charged 2 students, and we're told more charges and additional arrests could still be coming. And a reminder, if you or someone you know is a survivor of sexual assault, help is available 24/7. One resource is the National Sexual Assault Hotline. You can call it at 800-656-4673. New at noon, a Clackamas County Sheriff's deputy is behind bars this afternoon after allegedly strangling someone while off duty. According to the sheriff's office, Benjamin Lyman, who worked as a jail deputy, was arrested Thursday morning on criminal mistreatment, strangulation, and harassment charges. Deputies say they were notified of Lyman's criminal investigation back in April and placed him on administrative leave. Lyman is being transferred to the Marion County Jail, where he will be held without bail. Meantime, classes have been canceled for the day at Mountainside High School after a fire broke out in their wood shop. District officials say the fire started around 9:45 this morning. Students and staff were evacuated and it appears no one was hurt. Officials say due to smoke and water damage, classes are canceled for the remainder of the day. Well, happening right now, police are searching for a suspect who they say shot and injured a teenager last night. This was several blocks away from the state capitol and Willamette University in Salem just before 6:30. We know the victim is a 17-year-old boy. Authorities say the suspect ran away. Both local and state law enforcement are using drones and canines to search the area. The teenager was taken to the hospital. No word on his condition. Well, Portland City Council has approved an $8.5 billion budget after days of debate over how to close a historic shortfall. The city was facing a general fund gap of more than $160 million. Councilors passed dozens of amendments before their final vote. Sunrise reporter Corey Johnson has the details on what made the cut and what could still change.
After 2 days of discussion, Portland City Council approved a balanced budget for the next fiscal year, and it's one that city leaders say makes some painful cuts while still preserving some core services. Now, the $8.5 billion budget closes a record shortfall of more than $160 million. Councilors considered more than 40 amendments, including restoring funding for programs like Project Ceasefire, Summer Works, and Urban Forestry. Many proposed amendments failed in 6-6 ties, but councilors were able to preserve services like parks, police officers, as well as preserving a fire engine at Station 22, funding public bathrooms, showers, and laundry services for unhoused individuals, and also restoring police desk clerks and youth outreach staff members by pausing some pay increases for higher earning city employees. The city officials also estimate the newly approved budget could impact about 100 employees through job reductions, though they say that number is still preliminary. Mayor Keith Wilson called this one of the most challenging budget deficits in Portland's history. Now, the budget still has to go through a legal review, and counselors could also still make changes before formally adopting the budget next month. The next fiscal year is set to start on July 1st. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Corey Johnson. Taking a live look from our Rose City sky cam this afternoon. Finally, it's a bright, sunny day already across the region. Going to check in with Chris and the weather. Chris.
And that sunshine leading to this. The map behind me showing the change in temperature from noon yesterday. We were in the mid-50s yesterday. We are a whole 14 degrees warmer at lunchtime here in Portland than yesterday at this time. That largely due to the morning cloud cover that was quite stubborn until early afternoon yesterday. Everybody generally up and down the I-5 corridor warmer today than yesterday at this time. And again, we can thank the sunshine. No marine layer, or if there was, it was very, very weak and very quickly burning off from even the Oregon coast as we see some sunshine there along the north coast. We had some fog in Astoria earlier, but that has lifted. Right now we're pushing 70, 69 anyway in Salem with full sunshine there. A look down at the Interstate Bridge from the spring to the waterfront in Vancouver, full sunshine there as well, 70 again. Temperatures at lunchtime are a full 13, 14 degrees warmer right now than they were yesterday in the Rose City, and that will lead to obviously a much warmer afternoon. Yesterday we hit 70 late in the day. Today we're shooting for about 83, so a noticeable warm up as we head into the afternoon. Sunset tonight at 8:41, and I don't think there'll be a cloud in the sky at that point with a good looking forecast for the remainder of today. We keep the warm, dry weather going for several days, and of course we're going into the Memorial Day holiday weekend. There still is rain in my Monday forecast. I'm going to look at that coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, thanks, Chris. We'll see you soon. Here's a look at some national headlines this afternoon. An American family possibly exposed to the Ebola virus in Africa is now in Germany for monitoring. The wife and 4 young children of a doctor confirmed to have the virus were evacuated out of the Congo. Another American doctor who was exposed is being treated in the Czech Republic. At least 130 deaths have been blamed on the outbreak in Central Africa. Law enforcement officers involved in the January 6th Capitol riot are suing to stop President Trump's newly created anti-weaponization fund. The lawsuit claims the $1.8 billion fund will potentially be used to pay individuals who participated in the violent attack and finance various paramilitary organizations in the country. They're asking a federal judge in D.C. to declare the administration's decision to set up that fund unlawful. Well, Stephen Colbert is preparing to sign off from late night. Tonight's The Late Show will be his last, ending his run in the storied CBS chair once occupied by David Letterman. The guest for the final episode still under wraps in recognition of Colbert's final show. Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel both plan to air reruns tonight. The Justice Department has indicted former Cuban President Raul Castro in connection with the 1996 shoot-down of 2 civilian planes that killed 4 Americans. The move comes nearly 30 years after the attack, as families of the victims say they're still waiting for justice. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington, D.C.
He will show up here.
In a long-awaited step toward accountability, the Justice Department indicting former Cuban President Raul Castro in the 1996 shoot-down of 2 civilian planes that killed 4 Cuban exiles, including Miriam de la Peña's son.
My son was a law-abiding American who loved freedom.
The news, deeply personal to some, celebrated by Cuban Americans in Miami, where Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche made the announcement.
The United States and President Trump does not and will not forget its citizens.
An American grand jury indicting Raul, now 94, and the younger brother of Fidel Castro for conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals, destroying American civilian aircraft, and premeditated murder. Prosecutors say he ordered Cuban fighter pilots who were also indicted to shoot down the planes from the Cuban-American exile group Brothers to the Rescue that helped others trying to flee to freedom. Cuba says the planes violated its airspace. The U.S. says they were humanitarians over international waters.
Our son is not coming back. It could be 50 years, and the criminal is still there. He needs to be put in jail.
Castro is still powerful in Cuba's communist government that called the new indictment lies. NBC's Tom Llamas asked whether he will stand trial in the U.S.
There's a lot of ways that we can get them, and I certainly hope that any defendant that's indicted in this country stands trial.
The Trump administration has been raising the pressure on Cuba's regime, but President Trump now says
there won't be escalation. I don't think it needs to be.
As families wait for what's next. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
The Oregon man accused of helping kill his friend's wife in what's been described as a murder-for-hire plot has pleaded guilty to murder charges. According to court documents, in 2024, 57-year-old Daryl Riley broke into the home of Lindy Rummel in Brush Prairie while her husband James was away. Riley allegedly shot her 5 times, then staged the scene to look like an interrupted robbery. Investigators say Rummel's husband brought Riley from Eugene to Clark County hours before the shooting, but denied any involvement in the murder. He has been charged in this case as well. Riley is set to be sentenced in August.